Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tamara. Today we are discussing our January buddy read thriller title. If you would like to see this in video format without ad breaks, you'll need to head on over to Patreon and sign up. Along with ad-free video podcast episodes, you'll gain access to after shows and other exclusive content. If you're not into Patreon and you happen to be listening on the Spreaker podcast app, you too now have access to the after shows and other exclusive content in audio only. Join me and my two co-hosts over on the Book Clubs app for even more book chats. Please subscribe and like the podcast wherever you're listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Shelf Addiction. Joining me today is feature co-host Classy from The Bookish Virtual Assistant. Welcome back, Classy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's all I got.
I feel that. I genuinely do. So today we are diving into our first thriller of the year. But before we do that, let's get into our shelf updates. We're going to share what we've been reading for ourselves and even give you a quick insight on if we recommend it or not, and even a rating. Lastly, we will share a little bit from our TBR shelf for the upcoming week or so. Classy, let us know something that you've recently finished and rated or something that you're currently reading.
Ooh, I like this.
Yes.
So I read Light Out by Nevessa Allen. And this was one of those books I shared with you on TikTok. It had all the triggers, dark romance, and they start. Yeah, so it's two narrators, and at the beginning, they say, they mention the triggers. And the way they do it is so funny because they're like, whew, are you ready to still read this book with us? And it's a dark romance, and it has every possible trigger out there. But it was a fun book. 4 stars. Is a little, I don't want to give it away, but
no spoilers.
No, I enjoyed it. I really did. And it was humorous too. It wasn't just like this. It was humorous. I thought it was a fun read. I started it at the end of the year and I ended it like early, but I found myself laughing and was like, yeah. And I was like, ooh.
I'm down to try it now. It's been on my TBR. It's been a book talk favorite. And actually, maybe me and Casey should do that for the podcast because we just finished Butcher and Blackbird, which is another one.
Is that Bryn Asher?
Yes. Yeah. We just finished that. And it also is dark with comedy. It kind of had a little funny vibe. So I'm like, this would be the perfect follow-up. Okay. Oh my God. Even if it's not on the podcast, I have to do it now because you liked it.
I did. And I don't know if it's because, how sometimes you just need something different. And I was like, but it was. But I mean, some of the stuff, because, this is my first time really into dark romance. And I was like, and he did what? And she did. Excuse me? But I wasn't, I didn't clutch my pearls though. I'm way past that now, but I was like, tell me more. Tell me more.
Honestly, it takes a lot for me to clutch my pearls anymore too. I'm like,
I know.
It takes a lot.
My girlfriend and I were somewhere and we had gone out for Drinksgiving, and I'll be really short because I know our segment is short. And we were out at Drinksgiving and some guys had came up to the table and they were, kind of chit-chatting. And the one guy was, trying to talk to my friend, and he was just like, he was mentioning some things that he and his wife had done. And me and her are looking at him like, and he's looking at us like, y'all not shocked? He didn't say it, but we could tell, kind of like how when you and I were in New York and we had the little white couple. Well, they weren't a couple, but they were brother-in-laws, and they're talking to us, and we just like, you had to come better than that because we read.
Yeah,
we heard way worse.
Yeah, way worse.
Yeah, but
that's
funny. So I say read it.
Okay.
And and I think too, like with these dark romances, some of it isn't like for the literary whatever, the shock. It was fun. I thought it was a really fun book, and the humor, the two and their banter was hilarious to me. So I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4. But yes, I enjoyed that book very much. I love their humor and their banter. I recommend it. 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay, so I think because you like that, I'm going to guess you're going to like Butcher and Blackbird too.
Okay.
I bet you
All right,
will.
let me add that one.
Yeah.
And I've seen that a lot too. but just didn't. Okay, Butcher and Black.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
honestly, we're going to read the next one. We liked it so much, we're just going to do another one.
Okay, that says a lot.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes to me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So something that I recently finished was All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. That has been on my TBR forever, what feels like forever. And I finally got it done. And I liked it. You know, it was giving me vibes. I had recently finished Cross on Amazon. And it was giving me Cross vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I you know, I'm an essay. This is a stan. I'm a stan over here, but that one, that was probably one of his darker ones compared to what we've read before with him. And he did disappoint in this. In those, the topics in there were pretty heavy too.
Yeah, they were. Like, honestly, so how the book starts, and I think this is even in the synopsis, it's like it's a school shooting, but it's not what you think it is. Because the whole time I'm thinking, no, there's something else. What's going on here? And then when it comes out, I'm like, oh my God. And it starts to come out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is bad. This is very bad. And it just one thing after another. And it's very fast paced. It's got his like dark flair. And I even feel like I still feel like some of the complaints I had before about how the author wrote like a woman and how she looks and stuff. I feel like he changed that a little bit. Just a little.
He's right. He got a little
I'm like,
better.
Did he hear us? What happened?
Yeah.
I think I
agree.
Note.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has grown with that, with female characters.
So yeah, it was a good read. I had a good time with it, and I rated it 4 out of 5. It was very good.
Yeah, I think that might have been a 5 for me. But yeah, a good story. Good story.
Very good.
I suggest go back and read Dark Corners or My Darkest Prayer. That was something he wrote before, he became really popular. It might be, I don't know if it's a traditional published or indie, but if you like that, go check out My Darkest Prayer too.
Yeah, I like the dark stuff. And I mean, honestly, that's perfect, lines up with the darkness of this book that we're talking about today. Yeah. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Okay, we're almost there. Before we dive into our upcoming TBR shelf reads, I want to share something that's been a real game changer for me lately. For the longest time, I've struggled with staying asleep. I'd fall asleep fine, but then I'd wake up in the middle of the night and toss and turn for hours. It was seriously impacting my morning schedule. You know the drill. You wake up, you look at your phone, you can't go back to sleep, all of that. It was a problem. Then I discovered Magic Mind's Sleep Elixir. I was hesitant at first, but I'm glad I gave it a try because not only has it improved my sleep quality, but combined with their Magic Mind productivity shot, it has created this incredible balance. The productivity shot gives me the focused energy that I need to power through my to-do list without any jitters and that dreaded afternoon slump. I was immediately drawn to ingredients like lion's mane, matcha, and turmeric. They're all known for their cognitive benefits. And the sleep elixir, it's amazing. I love that it's free of melatonin and there's no grogginess in the morning and it doesn't create any kind of dependency. And the sleep elixir, it's amazing, y'all. I love that it's free of melatonin, so there's no grogginess in the morning and it doesn't create any kind of dependency. Ingredients like ashwagandha, chamomile, and magnesium glycinate really help me wind down and get a restful night's sleep. It's like having 24 hours of peak mental performance. I'm more productive, focused, and actually get a good night's rest. You can try this combo for yourself with a 45% discount this month. Just use my link and go to magicmind.com/shelfaddictJAN. Again, that's magicmind.com/shelfaddictJAN. The link is also at the top of the show notes. Thanks to Magic Mind for sponsoring today's episode. We're going to talk about our TBR shelves. What's on deck for the upcoming weeks? So for myself, I kind of have 2 things that are on deck that I want to finish. I'm going to save one for Classy because I think that's the one you're going to say. So I'm not going to say that one. Are you going to say
the one that's on deck?
Yeah. Are you going to say that one or no? I don't want to take
Sure.
your pick. Are you going to pick the adaptation?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'll say it.
Nope.
So I'm counting this here because it's personal, but it may be for Patreons and Spreaker people. That's The Couple Next Door by Shari LaPena. I want to do that really soon because the Stars show was released on the 17th. And yeah, that has been on my TBR for a while. So you may not hear that on the public feed, but if you are a supporter on Spreaker or on Patreon, you got a bonus coming. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So second on my TBR shelf, I want to read Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. A lot of people, it was popular like in 22. There's over 100,000 ratings. And the reason why it caught my attention was I marked it may read someday a while back. But the reason why it caught my attention is because I got an email, they advertise and the second book is coming out in March.
Oh.
So I want to see if this is for me before the second book comes out.
Okay.
So I'm like, the ratings look pretty good. I like the name, killer, little murder and mystery. I love that stuff. And it's being said, it's action packed and it's like, there's like 60-year-old women that are going around killing people, which is like, sounds like that could be kind of funny. Maybe, I don't know, but that's the vibe I'm in right now, like murder and death. I'm fine with it.
Right? And that title of a certain age, I'm like,
yeah,
sounds interesting. It's an interesting title.
That's up next on my TBR. What about you, Classy?
One of my book clubs, we are reading "You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty" by Akekwe Emenze. I always mess her name up. And the funny thing is I read this book or started it and DNF'd it. Yeah, I did. So now with book club, because, I'm one of the leads and I need to do the discussion, I'm going to have to finish this book. And a lot of people had kind of told me to, just keep going, Classy, it gets better. It's just, and I was like, And, sometimes when you're in a mood, you're just like, eh. And I also felt like there were just so many other books that I wanted to read that if I did want to come back, I'll come back. Okay. So here I am. I'm back. Yes. So that's what we're reading. And then I had listened to a podcast. I can't remember the two ladies, but they're two Black women who do a book review podcast. And they did like their end of the year favorites. And they had mentioned Kiki Palmer's memoir, Master of Me. So it popped up on my library hold. So I'm going to start that.
So you got to let me know how that is, because I so I feel torn about her as an actress and as an individual because of how she acts. So sometimes I find her voice slightly annoying, and I know she reads her own book. So
yes, she does.
I kind of want to hear her story and what she has to say, but also I can feel her squeaking getting on my nerves pretty quickly.
Yeah. And she talks fast.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is how she sounds to me. So if you get through it and you like it, then I definitely want to hear, because then I'll be more apt to listen to the memoir, because that's how I like memoirs. But when they're read by the person, because I feel like it gives a different, you just know how their words are intended, because they're going to say it with whatever attitude or inflection that they really mean versus a narrator.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I'm really interested because I always liked Kiki as an actress from young, and just to hear, and she's from the Chicagoland area, which is my neighborhood. But yeah, and it sounds like she takes some clips from her podcast and inserts them in here too. So,
and I don't listen to her podcast.
Yeah, I don't either. So that's fine, because this will let me know if I do want to listen to her podcast or not. But it's like little snippets. So yeah. And I just started it. I'm only at like 3%.
Good luck on both accounts. I feel like
it's only like 6 hours or something. So maybe not. I don't know. How many hours is this book? But anyway.
Well, she's not that old. So she's not like she's going to have like 450 pages worth of life to share. You know, she's young.
It's 6 hours. Yeah,
okay.
It's 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and she but it's Master of Me, and you know what? I think it's not even really it might be a memoir, but it's also kind of saying, I know, what did it say? How to orchestrate.
So self-help?
Let me see if that's what they put it as.
Let me look it up real quick. Let's see. Master of Me, the secret to controlling your narrative.
Yeah, so it might not be. I mean, she's going to have some life things in there, but.
Well, she had that huge embarrassment. Wasn't that her who, like, her boyfriend basically broke up with her because Usher was singing to her or something? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That was awful.
Jealous.
I felt bad for her. I'm like, that. And then it came out that guy was like wackadoodle. Like,
yeah. And she held, so I'm wondering if that's going to be mentioned in here. Yeah, so they do mention one of the tags in here is self-help. So, okay. So,
yeah, I'm really curious now. Let me know how it goes.
Cool.
Alrighty. Yeah. Okay, so we have finished our shelf updates. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will dive into the main event. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. Let's just get started. But before we do, I want to remind you that with Book Chats, we talk full spoilers here. So spoiler alert, you have been warned. Today, we are discussing the book, The Return of Ellie Black, written by Emiko Jean. The audiobook is narrated by a full cast of talented narrators. Published May 7th, 2024 by Simon & Schuster and Simon & Schuster Audio. The hardcover is 299 pages. The unabridged audio is 10 hours and 11 minutes. Classy, would you kindly share the synopsis?
Yes, Detective Chelsea Calhoun's life is turned upside down when she gets the call. Ellie Black, a girl who disappeared years earlier, has resurfaced in the woods of Washington State. But Ellie's reappearance leaves Chelsea with more questions than answers. It's been 20 years since Detective Chelsea Calhoun's sister vanished when they were teenagers, and ever since, she's been searching for signs, for closure, for other missing girls. But happy endings are rare in Chelsea's line of work. Then a glimmer. Local teenager Ellie Black, who disappeared without a trace 2 years earlier, has been found alive in the woods of Washington State. But something is not right with Ellie. She won't say where she's been or who she's protecting, and it's up to Chelsea to find the answers. She needs to get to the bottom of what happened to Ellie, for herself and for the memory of her sister, but mostly for the next girl who could be taken and who, unlike Ellie, might never return. This is a debut from New York Times bestselling author Emiko Jean, a debut thriller, because she has written some other things. The Return of Ellie Black is both a feminist tour de force about the embers of hope that burn in the aftermath of tragedy, and a twisty page turner that will shock and surprise you right up until the final page.
Okay. So, high level, when you turned the final page, what did you think?
I was like, I liked it. She had great character development. I wrote some stuff down. The scenes I felt like were good. And I felt like it was a well constructed mystery throughout the whole book. It wasn't like a fast pace, but it kept me interested the whole time. And I believe it's because of her writing style. And I don't know if it was because of the different POVs for like so many chapters, but I was fully vested in the story.
Yeah, I felt similarly. I think that I would definitely classify this as a medium-paced book. It definitely, I wouldn't say it dragged, but it was definitely slower than I would like. But at the same time, it was pretty consistent throughout. Yeah. And I was invested. I think that the beginning of how things kicked off was really a good way to grab your attention.
Yeah.
And then to be immediately thrown into Ellie's point of view, like, oh, shit, we get to see her actually get kidnapped. Oh my God. It's like, yeah. What an interesting take. And I thought when I finished it, that was really good. And that was my first time reading that author. So I was pretty pleased with it overall, high level, right? Was it perfect? No. Is anything, but I enjoyed it when I finished it.
Yeah. And I mean, this is her debut writing thriller. So I felt like, wow, you did that. Because, we've had a few that we've read, a few authors who, I can't remember her name, the one Black author who we always mess up her name. She wrote like her second book and was like, oh, girl, you could have did so much better. But I felt like for your debut, I think she did a great job and I enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. And I think, we wanted to also read another non-white author, right? So we thought this could be fun. And I think it was well done, like to get a little bit of differences from Chelsea's point of view versus like the rest of her family and her sister specifically. But it wasn't like, it was just enough, It was really well done. It was like we were aware that she was Asian based on her interactions at work, her interactions with her family. And I think that was a unique kind of take on being a detective, trying to find what she was doing. And especially when it came out who was involved with everything. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was a good little twist there. But yeah, you're right. The way, that this is an Asian author and Chelsea, who was adopted, and they mentioned that kind of early on and they, but it was the little subtleties, but she made it known, like when her sister, well, I won't go there, but when she said wolf face and some other little things, I enjoyed her take on it. And her writing style, I thought was really good. I wrote a few little things down that I really like, I bookmarked, and it just made me hit like, that's important, or I like the way she said that. And I also like, with this full cast, like each person, the full cast, they had their chapters, but some of them was just little spurts, little bursts, like Charity. At the end, Charity had one little chapter, but we had got to know Charity through the eyes of Ellie. And then all of a sudden at the end, we get to hear Charity, you know what I mean? Like those little things. And we get to hear about Willa. And these women that we're talking about were kidnapped. And we get to hear their story. And it may have only been one chapter or maybe two. We got to hear the therapist. It was just, I enjoyed those points of views like that. And she didn't hit us over the head with them. I think that might be it. Like we've read a few books where we were just like inundated, and it's like, did we really need to know all of that from this one character?
Yeah, and she did a good job connecting everything back around, even with all the multiple points of view. Like, for example, you brought up the therapist, but guess what? Detective Chelsea Calhoun, she interacted with that therapist. She knew her. So we got to see like, okay, yeah, so Ellie is talking to the therapist and we get to some insight, but also so does the character. So a lot of authors, you just be like, why did we get that? What's the point of that?
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Like, what was the connection? We could have did without that. That could have been 100 pages shorter if she didn't blah, blah, blah. But this author used all her 399 pages. I felt like she used them well. I don't think anything should have been taken out.
No, it was really good. It was a really tight story. And even though there was a lot of things like going into making these men have the ability to kidnap these girls, it wasn't too convoluted still. So, which also I enjoyed. So yeah, there was some twist in there, but not to the point where you have to be like, well, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Like,
wait,
like I gotta tag that and I gotta
right
and go back. Yeah, it wasn't. It was just enough that we knew they were evil, and we knew, like, we weren't sure about their motivation, but we did know these are some sick fucks.
Yeah. So I think one thing though that kind of felt out of left field but came together very quickly was when I could sense that Ellie was about to take off. I think we all could sense that toward leading into the end there. when the detective was like, "Hey, we're gonna talk in the morning." Okay, sure. I'm like, "Oh, she about to kick rocks and get the fuck out of there." But I did not expect a terrorist attack.
No, not at all. I thought she was just like, I'm out of here. I can't take this, you know? And when you say that, so that was one of the scenes that I had wrote down where I said there were certain things that I really enjoyed. And when you say that in chapter 26, it talks about when Chelsea went to the house to meet with Ellie, and the mom was like, she's not here.
Yeah.
She went to see her sister. Yeah. Or her Danny and the sister or something. And so the detective says, hey, can I go look in her room? I'm paraphrasing. You know, she says, I remember going in this room 2 years ago and it was a different room. It was like chapstick and a half bottle of vodka and blah, blah, blah. And, but she said this time it was a different room. It you know, like her room last time, it was messy, but it was still tidy. This time, this room is a room that felt like its hair was torn out.
She's a different person.
Yeah, face clawed with its throat raw from screaming. A barren, ravaged place. Yeah. And I was, you know, and when that, I was like, I could see that room. Yeah. So I, you know, those were just some lines, you know, or like I had bookmarked. And if you don't mind me going really back, and this was in chapter 2, like how we were saying how she just really went in and we got to hear Ellie's POV of being kidnapped. And this is when she goes to the bathroom, or she's trying to go to the bathroom, and there's a sign on the door that says, if you're a victim of human trafficking, call this toll-free number. And she said, there are bad people everywhere. And the truth is, these people are not strangers. Yeah. They are the men you sleep with, work with, and the men you raise. I wish this didn't mean, I wish this wasn't what it means to be a female. It's not a matter of what will happen, but when. Yeah. Actually,
and there were
I was like, my heart just,
Yeah. Like there was this other quote, and I didn't mark exactly where it was, but I did mark the quote down. And I think it was Ellie that was saying, say anything with enough conviction and you can even fool yourself. She's talking to, like, I think she was talking to little Willa at the time or something. She's like, if I say this with enough conviction, this little girl will believe me. I believe it. Yeah. So all throughout, like, this little girl was very smart. It's like she knew. She was very intuitive, like even dealing with her captors. She kind of, and that's why one thing I could not understand about her, and she knew that he took that little girl to trap her more, and it worked. But when you got away and you knew that the police were coming, they were signaling that they knew what the fuck was going on and that you had interacted with these other girls, you kept your mouth shut. She held it, even though she could have had an ally. Because thinking back to the, you know, when it came out who the people were, she didn't know that the brother was a cop. She didn't know that. She didn't see his face. She did not know. So there was no reason for her not to trust the police. Yeah. Now, and here's my take on that is not just trusting the police. For one, her motive was she needed to save Willa. And remember, Wes said, I'm watching you. Yeah. I'm always around. You may not know where I'm at. I also felt like it was the survivor's guilt because she felt bad she blames herself for killing Gabby. And she felt like, here's my chance to redeem myself and I'm not involved in anybody. Yeah. But I think that the detective made kind of a breakthrough with her when she says to her, you know, I have experience. My sister was kidnapped. So it seemed like that opened the door a little bit, but still she didn't bite. She didn't bite it. Because she was on a timeline. She was. And I get why. Like, I understand her motivations. That's something that the author made very clear, which was good. But I just wish it was maybe a little temptation or a little nudge. Like, you know, she was hard and fast. gonna do what she was gonna do. And
Mhm.
honestly, she barely made it out alive. She was gonna die.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
She was going to die, and so was everyone else. That was
Yeah.
going to happen. Had the detective not stroll up there because her little boyfriend turned her Find My Friend on her phone.
Right? Yeah.
They'd have been chop
Yeah.
suey, buried in a grave because
Yeah.
that dude was going to kill her.
Yeah.
So that was.
And my thought was like, when you say that, when she went back and was trying to bring Willa, to save Willa, and then in the interim, pick up Charity, I was like, now, girl, do you really think they're just gonna let you come back to this compound?
Of course not. Delusional. You a little delulu girl. You just think they're gonna let you walk up in here.
But she had gotten emboldened. But I also felt like she was that mother bear. She had that mother bear instinct like this. I mean, because I didn't realize until later, well, us as readers didn't realize until later, she blew the whole bombing. She messed, you know what I mean? On purpose. She did, you know what I mean? So she was just like, I'm risking it all.
See, I didn't think she did on purpose. I thought they said that it was a coincidence that the governor was late because there was something going on with her tire.
No,
it was.
Yeah, later on in the story, Ellie admits that she did it on purpose.
Okay,
missed it. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, later on in at the end, she mentions where she blew it, and that's when she just headed back to the compound. Yeah, I don't know what part it was, but
even if she did do it on purpose,
10-15%.
So she's like, okay, I fucked it up on purpose, so now I'm going to go back and try to save Willa.
I thought it was like, I'm trying to find it here.
Okay, because I just remember that her emotional state was a mess, and it was a chaotic situation, right? So I know that there was some hesitation, but I didn't know that she said, okay, I'm just going to fuck it up on purpose. Like, I missed that. Like, completely.
Let me see. I went and downloaded
okay.
the chapter 34. It came down to it. Ellie couldn't kill anyone. She botched the bombing and fled.
Okay, so it wasn't premeditated, though. She got there and couldn't do it.
Yeah, because she knew David would be watching. She followed through, basically, yeah.
Okay, because I thought, okay, got it. So she she lost her gut and couldn't do it.
Yep, she's like, I can't kill nobody. Yeah.
I don't blame her. Shit.
No.
But, yeah, that's crazy. And then to go to that scene where they have her training, basically, to set up this bomb in the woods. Yeah. Like, oh my God, he used her so bad.
That psychological manipulation, which with this book, like, there should have been some triggers. I don't remember any triggers being mentioned, but yeah, because there was physical and sexual abuse, kidnapping, psychological manipulation. It was just a bunch.
Grooming.
Definitely grooming. Yeah.
Because even the detective, Chelsea's sister, was groomed.
Yeah. Yeah. And and even Lydia, Chelsea's sister, mentioned he picked up Willa because he's like, he probably wanted to groom her. Yeah. Start her young.
Yeah. He's like, oh, wait till she turns 14. We'll party. I'm like, oh my God. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what? He just wanted a little obedient girl that was just going to do whatever. He didn't have to fight too hard with.
Yep. Yeah. But this story, in case people, I mean, because we haven't really gotten into it. We have, but she was kidnapped. She got to the bunker and come to find out there's 3 other women there. Gabby, which was Hope. Charity. Was there another girl?
Charity was Hannah.
Yeah. Which I didn't think she was a black girl.
She sounded black at the end. I was like,
when you look at the narrators' names, I was like, I believe this is, So
and she sounded it. When her voice came on, I said, wait, is she black?
I know.
I had no clue she was black.
No, I don't think they described her much in the book. I'm trying to remember, like even in the pictures that Ellie drew when she met with the therapist, I can't remember if she mentioned because they were all just little stick figures,
like
basically.
Stick figures, right? There was no distinction. Yeah. They all had X's for eyes and an oval shaped mouth, like they were all like screaming or something.
Right. So who's to say that maybe she wasn't, but just to have the narrator be a Black woman, so she was indistinct because she could be anybody, basically.
She could be.
Yeah, but the narrator, I was like, oh, that's a Black woman.
Oh, yeah. Instantly. The minute that flipped, I said, oh, shit, she's Black.
I know. And I start in the recesses of my mind. I was like, I don't remember them, like describing hair. But again, I'm here for it. I like that. Even though this character was, nondescript, you guys chose a Black narrator.
But see, I think that if that's the case, though, if I had to nitpick, I think it should have been brought up because the kidnappers had an infatuation with not cutting their hair. If you have a Black girl not cutting her hair, doing what's going on with her hair? I mean, just in passing, it didn't have to be all detailed and stuff, but they couldn't cut their hair, remember?
Yeah. But the other thing is when they're picking narrators, and that's another thing with narrators, they might say, oh, her voice is too ethnic or blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't. Here's my take. Here's my devil's advocate that they didn't say
they weren't going for that. Got it.
She had a good narration. Her voice was good. Yeah.
And her voice was good.
It was.
But then why did we not get a description of all the girls? So we knew that the first girls they picked, it was clear they were white based on the family and stuff. But her...
She was adopted. I mean, she came from a foster home.
Right. Why not give us a little descriptor? Why not? That was ambiguous. And I think that it shouldn't have been.
Okay.
We got a description of all the little girls. We got a description of, I feel like it shouldn't have been. And at the time, it didn't bother me.
Let me go back and see. Let me go back and see if there was something. And now that I have the Kindle, I was able to, let's see. What was her name? Hannah?
Yeah.
Hannah. Let's see what they talk about Hannah.
And you know what? When you think about it, Hannah was the one. And of course, and I don't want to say it, but I want to say it. So Hannah was aggressive in that she didn't want to just stand down. Remember the first time they got caught?
Oh, yes.
She was like...
She was a fighter.
Yes, she was. She was pushing back nonstop. She would not give in. She was the only one that would not give in.
Yep, she was a foster kid. There's a pattern. Let's go back. Yeah. She wouldn't. She was a fighter. But even they mentioned too, when her chapter comes up and she says her the foster mom called her like a wolf because she would always read the room first, especially the table, before she sat down to see what was going on. Let's see if there's anything else in descripting. Nope. There's really nothing descriptive about her. The friendship bracelet, Hannah with her face turned, peering up at something. Yeah, not really anything. They just say, here's the thing about Hannah. She grew up in the foster system.
I don't know.
So that's something we just kind of... Yeah.
Well, it's fine, right? Not everything is perfect.
No, but and like I said, even with the narration, they said she has a good voice. So,
which she did.
She did a great job.
But yeah, it was wild. Like, so they're prolific kidnappers, and how they did that was insane. So like the two brothers were working together, and one brother who was a cop, and he seemed like he wasn't all the way with it, because when they got busted at the end, the cop was the one that was like, you said we weren't going to get caught. I'm like, what kind of
in the Barney Fife?
Yeah. So, but it was interesting because he would yank them in their identifiable car and he would drop them into a school bus.
Oh. Yeah, on all that land back there.
Yeah, they would be back there. They couldn't get out. He would like throw them water and bread. There's no bathroom. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was conditioning them to,
he wanted them to like erase themselves essentially. And I could tell very at the beginning when Ellie was in there and he kept saying, "What's your name?" And she would say, "Ellie Black." I'm like, girl, he wants you to say you don't know or you don't remember.
Yeah.
And then after after the third or fourth time, she's like, "Huh? What?" Like that's it. That's how you get out.
Yeah, she was a smart girl, and I love their like they found the herbs in the yard so they couldn't get pregnant, and I was just like, this was just a really good story.
Okay, I thought that was cool, but how do you find
I know
that?
you know that.
How do you know that?
I know.
How?
Who knows? I don't know.
What? I mean, even a quick, you know what? I read about this in school one day in whatever class.
Yeah, it kind of
and so
that's
like
how I know
those little things. Like, but I'm like, that's great that they had it, but how the fuck do you know that you're a teenager?
Right. And only way I kind of justified it in my brain was he made sure there were certain plants that they couldn't have. But like you said, though, so you know what I mean? Like, did they do deductive reasoning? Like, why can't we have this? You remember? Because he would do a sweep. Like, there were certain plants that they couldn't make, and he made sure. But you're right. Did they overhear a conversation? And that's a little plot hole. It wasn't a major plot hole, but I thought that
but
too.
I thought
like,
about it. I'm like, how
like, y'all some
know?
herbalists over here? What's going on?
And she's like, just chew these up. And it was like essentially keeping them from getting pregnant because that is what the captor wanted. He gave
her the seeds. I wonder if the little foster girl knew. But anyway, we getting way deep because, you know.
However, they were using it as a form of plan B.
Birth control. Mm-hmm.
They were plan Bing it with herbs.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing because they didn't have anything else. And they had to do it in secret. So they were hiding them and then he found them and, you know, actually ended up growing them because of Ellie's suggestion to like grow them like kind of in plain sight, but not where he would look. And it worked because they got all the seeds for the winter. They're like, we're going to be out. We won't have enough to get through. And so they were harvesting them and hiding them for later use. And then how do you know how many seeds to eat? Like all these things. Like, how do you know that? You could have killed yourself eating too many of those seeds.
And they were probably like, I'd rather kill myself than have that piece of shit touch
That's
me
what I'm
again.
saying. I wouldn't have minded that. Let something bad happen from those seeds. I don't know. Just nitpicking a little bit. Just nitpicking a little bit. But
I know.
That was really smart though. Whoever thought of it.
Hope was the one who gave her the seeds, the hairy brown seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I would have been SOL because I wouldn't have known what seeds to look for.
Not at all. Not at all.
I've been eating wild plants and hope shit happened. I don't know.
Girl.
Oof. But that was pretty smart of them, honestly. They're very smart girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like you said, who thought of this? But again, it's a little plot hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Forgot the name of the seeds. I don't even know if they remember the name of the seeds.
I don't even know if it don't even matter. Because guess who not Googling those seeds? Me. I don't know. I'm not eating any seeds of the wilderness.
I'm curious now, like, okay, but anywho, but yes, it was, you know, those were some of the little nuances of the story. But let's get to can we get to the plot twist at the end?
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, wait, before we do, let's take a quick break, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. Okay, let's get into the final plot twist. You kick it off, Classy.
So, Chelsea gets to the compound and approaches the brothers. And the brothers are basically the sons of her, not her partner, but like a fellow cop, Patrick Abbott, right? That's not her partner, but he's a fellow police officer. I thought
he was the captain. He was the captain.
Captain. Okay. So their son, the captain, Patrick Abbott, who is also the ex-husband of the governor, who was the intended target of the bombing. So those were her sons. So the thing is that West was basically had some mommy issues and wanted her dead. He felt bad he didn't feel bad. He was angry with his mother for leaving dad. So she gets there. It's the brothers. Somebody shoots Doug. I think she shot Doug. But anyway, it was like the OK Corral, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure. I thought the brother killed the brother. But anyway.
That's what I thought. I thought it was an accident because he fell forward or something.
Yeah, because he was like, "You're going to pay for this, bitch." And I was like, she shot him? But anyway, so then all of a sudden she realizes there's a third person and there's a woman, and she thinks it's the daughter Annie or whatever, because there were 3 children. Y'all, come to find out, it's Lydia.
You know what? And I knew
it is Chelsea's sister, Lydia.
You know what? And I knew it. I knew it before
When
it
did
happened.
you know it? When did you know?
Okay, I knew it when. Okay, so I had it wrong. I thought that she was kidnapped, but that's not how she got there. But I thought, like, when we heard like the story about her just being gone and like how they thought that someone killed her and all this other stuff, I'm like, no, I just felt like she was there because we never knew her origin story, but she was a woman there.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, that's her. I just kind of knew, but I didn't know the how and the why. I just thought she was also, because he had taken Willa and she was groomed, I thought maybe he had taken a younger girl and groomed her as well. And now here she is so many years later being, that's what I thought she was, but I knew it was her. What did you think? Were you surprised by that?
I didn't. I was. I really was. I didn't think it was Annie. I didn't think it was the sister because, and if it was, I was like, y'all really needed a freaking trigger warning in this one because, that relationship that, that Annie had or the other woman had with David, which was AKA West. But I did not see Lydia coming.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. So it did throw me. So yeah, but it was Lydia, and she grazed her with a bullet. She didn't hurt her, but she brought out them zip ties and handcuffed her sister.
Yeah.
But, she was a victim herself. She participated in this, but she was a victim. She was groomed, Stockholm syndrome, whatever you want to call it. This woman loved this man. She married him because she said, I didn't want to do it with him unless we were married.
Right. And she went missing when she was 15. 15. So she was definitely under, and the irony, he named her Serendipity.
I know. Girl, those names.
And that was like a name that his mother had.
Destiny was his mother's name, which he named.
Oh, yeah. He named Ellie Destiny.
Yeah. Serendipity is Lydia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
So he was
a sick fuck.
Yeah. And I don't know. That's one thing I don't know is when she was taken at 15, how old was he?
Yeah, I don't know. Because that was something, too, that I thought was weird because how old? Like, I don't think there's a big age gap. Even though she was 15, I don't believe the age gap is so big because I remember in the story, not Lydia, but Chelsea mentioned how abusive Patrick was to his kids and his wife at the football game. Remember? And she said he approached him because he fumbled or he did something bad and he got in his face. And then the mom took Doug into the stands and rubbed his back. So I'm like, so the age gap, like, so maybe he is older, but
just a little bit.
Yeah, but not too much.
Because also, remember, Ellie was talking about seeing, what was the younger brother's name? The one that David
Doug.
was David. No, I thought it was David.
David is West.
Right. Michael and David. Michael. Okay. So the younger one that was the cop, Ellie talked about events, seeing, being around them when they were younger. Because at the time, her dad was the chief.
Exactly.
And then,
and she met him at the picnic too.
So they were around the same age. So even if Lydia was 15 and the other boy was 18 or 19, they were in that but he was crazy. Range. He was psycho and he was able to manipulate her.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it was, like a huge age gap, but it was, like you said, they were in familiar places and in events and different things like that. So if you're seeing somebody at a football or some kind of sports event, you're not that much difference. But again, it doesn't matter. You still groomed her. You still, you killed her boyfriend. You bashed his fucking head in. And then your dad covered it and said, I can't be covering too much more. So that means you did some other crazy stuff.
That means that their father, the police chief, knew that he had a crazy son.
Mm-hmm.
That he should have been keeping an eye on his ass. But instead, we're fed this story about how he let his son almost drown because he took a boat out. It's like, what the fuck? You crazy too. You crazy too, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Like he told that story.
No, apple doesn't fall too far. Or as my friend said, that's acorn syndrome.
Oh, gosh.
Acorn tree fall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that was a crazy story. So he literally, when he was a teenager, took the father's boat out, who was the chief of police. He took his boat. The boat capsizes. He goes into this like bathroom or something in there and tries to just like survive. And the boat goes down.
Oh, that's right. That little air pocket.
Yeah. The father knew he was in there screaming. He could hear him. He's like, well. Oh, well.
Let's see if we can get out of this one.
I guess I'll
get for stealing my boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's like, you gonna take my boat again? No. Okay. What? And then you wonder how you end up with a little psycho?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What else did that dad do to them?
Exactly. But and then there was another line too, right around that time when Lydia was being interviewed Ellie came to visit her, and she said, my sister Lydia has not grown up. She is very much still 15 years old.
Yeah. You mean when Chelsea went to see her sister?
Yeah. When she said Chelsea. She is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She said Lydia is still 15. And she even spoke like she was
I bet that was a really hard conversation to have. Like she went to visit her sister and hear her talk like that, to hear her defend them. Yeah. Like, oh, he just gets angry. Yeah. Is he okay? Is he
He doesn't like to sleep alone. No. And she was like, do you know what happened? Do you know
are you Delulu? Because do you understand?
Because I think they even mentioned where the sister said her face was kind of curled up, like, she said, my face, she was becoming visibly angry with her sister. And then she had to realize my sister is still really a 15-year-old girl who is groomed.
I think that is an impossible place to have to deal with that. Obviously, she loved her sister for a long time. She felt immense guilt about not like revealing that she knew her sister had left. You remember she kind of held that in for a long time.
For 2 days. Yeah.
Right. And so to have her sister back was a relief, but then to also know that she engaged in these crimes. She helped these men keep these girls captive, and she allowed them to be attacked over and over again.
Yeah. But, I mean, when we think about it, too, where was she going to go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a line in the book right around that time. Again, another great line about unremarkable men. Did you remember that line?
No, go ahead and tell it to me.
Okay, it says, she's like, the most dangerous thing in the world isn't natural disasters or wars or weapons. It is unremarkable men with beautiful smiles and even bigger promises.
It's always the unremarkable ones. It's always them.
Always. So yeah, that I was like, this.
Like they ain't got no game, no charisma, no nothing. And then they just, it's always them.
But they're the one that's pulling. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's all I have on the book. Anything else for you?
I think we covered most of it. I think that there was a lot of things going on, and the author managed to make a bunch of unlikable characters seem interesting, because even Ellie, I didn't like her. I didn't like her as a person. I didn't like her as a character. You know how some people, I'm not one of these people that have to like the characters to be able to appreciate
Enjoy
their
the
actions
story.
or
Yep.
enjoy the story.
Yep.
I think
because she was a liar. She was a braggart that didn't really, talking about my family got all this money, and
she was rude to her little boyfriend. I mean, that little boy felt so guilty. She treated him like garbage.
She wanted that cell phone, girl. But then again, we have to think back to, she was a teenager. Her whole goal
I didn't act like that as
a
teenager. I was nice. I'm sure you were nice too.
I was, but I was just saying, but nice people don't make good, they had to make, like you said, she made bad characters have some kind of redeeming quality.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have been too why she, like you were saying, why didn't she tell, and why she didn't do this and that. She felt like, I can redeem myself. But anywho, but she did. This author really did.
Same. She a brat then, she a brat now. That's kind of how I felt. And I understand, like I said, I still understand her reasons and her motivations, but I'm like, girl, you thinking like, I thought you were smarter than this. I thought you were smarter.
Now,
look,
17.
She's 19 now. She was kidnapped at 17. She is now 19 years old.
But she was stuck in 2 years. Don't have me go to bat for Ellie. Just like Lydia, she was stuck at 17.
I understand. But I still think you didn't think everything through quite yet, Ellie. You have your own ideas and you were stubborn about it, but you didn't think it through. Once you got out in some space away, you didn't think, you just...
studies show that people who are even inmates, and when they go to prison and when they get out, they have a hard time adjusting. And that's kind of how I felt with Ellie and her character. Granted, we didn't know that she was being set up to, bomb the mayor or the governor or whoever. But I also felt like, because she was still sleeping in the crawl space, so she struggled.
She definitely had some trauma there. Mm-hmm. I think two things can be true. But I think about that also in terms of Detective Chelsea. I didn't like her very much either. I think that she had some, obviously, like we were talking about earlier, the extreme guilt about her sister being killed, what she thought was killed. And so she had some things to get over and to deal with. But the way she was treating her husband was trash. I'm like, girl,
she was cold. She was cold. Like, but here's my thing too with that. And it's just my thought. I don't know if Emiko thought that. She didn't really like him from the beginning.
It seemed like that, didn't it? It seemed like she was trying to force that relationship. It did seem like that, which is another reason. Why are you doing it to that man? Let him go.
Because he came into her life during a time of need. Her dad was dying of cancer. He came in and he stepped in, and she felt like she was obligated.
Don't be with me out of guilt. Don't feel like you owe me. You're not doing me no fucking favors.
We are doing a deep damn dive in this book, but that's how I felt with their relationship. Yeah. She really didn't, she didn't have that love. She I like him and he gives me what I need, but I could do without him.
Yeah.
And she showed that, and it proved.
That reinforces everything I'm saying about these characters not necessarily being likable, and I'm fine with it. Like I said, I don't have to like them. But I think that may be a problem for some people who read the book who need something to feel good about or something to root for. Yeah. I think that aspect may be missing for some readers.
Okay.
Now, like me, if you don't need it, then it is what it is. These characters are effed up, and it's fine because that's just how they are. But
that's me. I give no care. Give me a good story. I don't care if the character has flaws and I don't like them and I can't connect with them and I can't relate. I don't get to. There's a whole lot of people I can't relate to.
Look, in all kind of books. But is that going to
stop me from reading?
In all kind of books, I can't relate to a lot of stuff, but I still read it. But that's a common complaint.
We were not those type of teenagers. But it's not going to stop me from reading a good book.
But that's a common complaint. Like when I was scrolling through some of the comments on like Reddit and stuff about this book, people pointed out that they didn't like any of the characters. And I'm like, well, let's
guess
speak
what?
on it.
In your real life, how many people do you like? Can we talk? Well, we won't, because I know we need to wrap this up. You know what I mean? Why are you up there talking about a damn fictional character? How many people in IRL people do you really like? I'll wait.
Less than 5, probably. Let's keep it real. Like less than 5. We're not talking about family.
Can we talk? Let's get real, people. These are fictional characters. Get real. It's not going to stop me from reading a book because I can't relate. Neither. And it's not going to change my rating because I could not relate.
No, it doesn't
matter. Okay. And then I guess we can wrap this up. When I read a book, that's not my goal, is to be able to relate to a character.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a good story. Can you write it well and keep me interested?
Interested and make it make sense. So I feel like the author generally did a good job of making things make sense, with the exception of a couple of mini plot holes that we found just by kind of digging into things a little bit. But in general, the story made sense from beginning to end. And that is the most we could ask for. What I also liked bringing this kind of to an end is I liked that the ending was realistic. I love a realistic ending. It was not a walk off into the sunset happily ever after. It was this is as good as
rainbows and unicorns. Yes.
Yeah. This is the best you can expect under these circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It was realistic. It was believable. And just to piggyback on what we said about their relationship with her husband. Nah, we're going to keep that. There was no lovey-dovey. Okay, we buying a house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Guess I'll stay with him a little longer. He brought, again.
That poor guy.
She called him. Right. Again, they reconnected on trauma.
Yeah, he loves her. He likes to fix her. Yeah, he's a fixer.
Yep, and that happens in real life. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that happens all the time. Like you said.
Very realistic. Very realistic. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and rate The Return of Ellie Black. I bet we have the same rating.
I gave it a 4. It was good. Me too.
It was good.
I enjoyed it.
I'm telling you, on the podcast so far, we are doing good this year. This is my second 4 this year so far.
Yes, come on, 25.
But
way to start the year, because last year we started off with I think we started off with a 2 or 3. So keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. I think we're going to have some good luck. So next month in February, we are actually having something really cool in the book club. So if you are not a part of the Shelf Addiction Book Club and you want to talk to authors and maybe have book club with authors, you should join, because we're going to do a little bit of that. And we are kicking it off in February. We are talking with David Ellis in the book club. We are reading his book, The Best Lies, on the podcast for our buddy read. We are going to talk about it in book club, and he is going to join us live on the internet via Zoom or whatever we use. And the book club members will be able to ask him questions, and we can really dig into things. I think that'll be fun. So if you are not in the book club, you need to be. You should join us and read this next book with us. I think that's it. What do you think, Classy?
I think that's it.
All right. So we've done all the things. Don't forget to check out Magic Mind, today's episode sponsor. You can get the productivity shot and the sleep elixir combo with a 45% discount when using my code by going to magicmind.com/shelfaddictJAN. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, join us over on book clubs, support the podcast. Come on, y'all, support us. You know you want to keep hearing more and more buddy reads this year. Show us some love. We'll talk to you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys. Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, please head over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave a positive 5-star review. It's a simple action that makes a big difference. You can also like this episode on your favorite podcast player or share it with your fellow bookworm friends on social media. Joining the Shelf Addiction Patreon family is another way to support us. For as little as $2 a month, you can help our team create even more amazing bookish content. If Patreon isn't your thing, consider becoming a supporter on the Spreaker app for just $5 a month and gain access to exclusive audio-only content. You can find me everywhere, including Instagram, X, and TikTok under the handle Shelf Addiction. Join our book club of the same name on the book club's website and app, where we discuss all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. Thanks for tuning in.